Yes, I would like to ask the nominee, is Ares 1 a good rocket?
So Ares 1 is a rocket.
Yeah, yes, we all agree it's a rocket. Is it a good rocket?
As I said before, Ares 1 is a rocket.
Yes, is Ares 1 a good rocket? It's a simple question.
Senator, Ares 1 is a rocket.
Is Ares 1 a good rocket? Why can't you answer that?
All I have to say is that Ares 1 is a rocket.
All right, I think we did it enough. Lovely intro.
And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Rolling up. Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Fighting downside FD off. Bring in FD off. It's orange!
R25! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
Look at this!
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? We don't need any more of these.
Hello, and welcome to this week's Flame Trench. It's our new weekly informal news show where we get a little bit spicy. That's why it's called the Flame Trench. In fact, here's a Flame Trench right there. Flame Trench. Hi, I'm Jack Beyer. I'll be your host this week. It'll be an interesting one. A, because I've had a whole lot of coffee, and B, because there's some interesting topics to talk about this week. Joining us, as always, we have a cohort of co-hosts. Starting off with EJ. How you doing, bud?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, just existential dread and,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. You?
Yeah.
Just like,
Oh,
reading an invisible book? No actual book?
Yeah. Well, I got my Lockheed shirt on. It's my stealth book. No.
Also
All right.
joining us this week is... No, that's pretty good. Also joining us this week is D, live from the field. You can see the dang old VAB behind. What? That's... Okay.
It's a green screen. It's
Flex.
definitely a green screen.
Yeah, no, totally a green screen.
Yeah, definitely not getting ready for a launch later tonight, but glad to be here. Some interesting topics to talk about this week for sure, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's I've had a lot of coffee. It should be a good one, hopefully. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about any topics we're talking about during the show, at NASASpaceflight in chat, and we will see your questions pop up in a queue we have running in the background. Oh, a lot to talk about this week. Of course, we're going to talk about the confirmation hearing for Jared. We're going to talk about the proposed budget cuts, and we're going to talk about Starbase and a bunch of other stuff as we go, as usual. So let's get into it right off the bat. This is not how you host a show. This is not how you get an audience excited. Like, I'm not excited to talk about these budget cuts, but we need to talk about these budget cuts because the proposed cuts, all talk so far, are not, they're not good. They're really super not good. You want to give us a quick rundown of what this is in case people haven't seen it, because it's kind of breaking news, and then I think we might have a special guest to yell some, but let us give us an overview.
Yeah, so I'll just say, over the past couple months, there's been a lot of discussion of where potentially budget cuts might come into play at NASA, whether SLS maybe would be on the chopping block. There were stories in that regard. But now the White House has proposed a budget for the next fiscal year, and it is cutting in primarily the sciences. So it would be a $5 billion reduction in the overall budget, but the vast majority of that is through the science funding. So, of course, this isn't like a final budget or anything like that, but if it passes through Congress, like this is what the White House is looking for. And so the science funding in this proposal would go down from $7.5 billion to $3.9 billion. So that's a huge amount of funding for astrophysics research and studying of heliophysics, and even a 50% cut on earth sciences. And on top of that, while it would continue to support like Hubble and James Webb, it would totally kill the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope. So it's definitely a huge change, and we saw how Jared Isaacman was really like speaking in favor of sciences, and so now this is a very massive cut to this vital part of NASA's funding, and for honestly for the world, I have to say, because there's so much research, understanding of like dark matter, things like that we're going to lose out on if we have these huge cuts to science funding made.
It's all right. I'm trying to put my calm person hat on, and that this is a budget proposal that NASA should then say, have a response to, and then hopefully the White House comes back with a less bad proposal, and then that goes to Congress, and Congress also helps make it less bad. So I'm not panicking just yet, but if this passed, if this exact thing passed, if this was like the thing that's like, okay, this is what we all agree that we're going to pass, and we're going to pass it, and it passed, that would be terrible. But that's not what this is. So I'm trying really hard to not have my panic hat on. That said, unconscionable. We yelled so much about not being able to, or not NASA not launching. Oh God, what was the moon lander? Oh man, I'm blanking on this now. What was the moon lander that was like all built and everything? We yelled about it for a whole bunch. Viper, thank you. We yelled so much about Viper. You're telling me we're going to have a space telescope that's on budget, it's on time, it's going to launch in 2 years, and not only that, it's been made out of a surplus NRO telescope, so we like had some governmental savings along the way, just like the friends that we made, and you're telling me that we're just going to cancel that? But we're going to keep SOS running? It's not okay. I'm not okay with this. Thankfully, this is part of the process, and hopefully the things get better. EJ, I want to know what you're thinking, because I see you stewing over there. And we might also have a rebuttal from Hagen here. We have a special guest, Hagen, who's our science friend and contributor. But because I fear that I won't be able to adequately convey how much I love science, well, Hagen is here to convey how important science is. But do you disagree that this is bad, or do you not think it's bad?
I don't think we should be hitting the panic button just yet, Jack, to be 100% honest with you. I really don't. Guys, it's a draft. It's a draft assessment. We've played this game before. We played this game before in 2017. It's a draft assessment. Not a draft assessment. It's a draft of the process per the article from ours. Like, it's a process to develop the budget for fiscal year 2026. It's a draft version. Okay. Meaning that it's a negotiation. If it's a negotiation, you start like highballing or lowballing, right? You use that negotiating tactic to get what you want. We saw this in 2017. We saw this with I think it was the 2021 Authorization Act, it's a process. It's a going back and forth between the presidency and the and Congress. I really don't. It doesn't okay. Even if you don't buy that for a second, that's fair. But why would and we can talk about this a little bit later. Why would Rook go into a Senate congressional Senate congressional hearing and give testimony?
Yeah, but he's not. But he's not confirmed yet.
Science.
He doesn't have any say. He's not even in talks with them about it right now because that's how it works, right? So he can talk the talk all he wants, and I appreciate that he is and does. But fact of the matter is he's not part of that process right now.
Yeah, but it's a draft.
I hear you, dude. I hear you. And I started off this segment by saying something relatively similar, right? So I hear you, and I mostly agree. That said, as the first step in this process, this draft signals priorities. And it signals the way that the administration ideally wants to go. But you're right, it's a negotiation. But one would hope that we would start the negotiations from a point less far apart. Does that make sense?
I suppose, but it really depends on what you want to do. I mean, once again, you guys can say I'm full of it, but that's fair. I totally understand. But okay, hear me out here for a second, all right? This makes no sense. All right. And, Jack, I get it. You said Rook isn't a part of the negotiations, et cetera, et cetera. I understand that. That's fine. But to go in there, if the president picked Rook for that position, to go in there and give that kind of testimony that you're going to launch thousands and thousands and thousands of scientific probes and then release a draft assessment, first of all, meaning that it can be changed, that is entirely contradictory to those statements, right? Now, once again, you guys could say, that makes no sense. You guys can say that, it's politics. That might be lying. Well, yeah, okay, great, good. That's lovely. But I don't really think Rook is the kind of person to do that, guys. I mean, judge on the content of character. Jack, you've interviewed the guy. Do you think he'd play that game? I don't think he'd play that game. I really don't, dude. That makes no sense. It makes no sense. Based off of that, no, hold up. Based off of that premise, dude, I think this is just a starting point for negotiations. All right. It absolutely is, because it doesn't make any sense otherwise. All right. There's getting caught up in it, and there's dooming and glooming, and then there's denying objective reality.
I'm not disagreeing that it's a starting point from negotiations. My point is this starting point sucks. We had Jared in the confirmation hearing talking to the senators, and they're saying, "Oh, you said Mars is the priority, but what about the moon?" And Jared's like, "Baby, we can do both, and we can do all the science. And now you're telling me we have to cut $5 billion?" And it's like, yo, we can cut. If we need to make cuts, we can make cuts. But you're telling me, on the one hand, our nominated administrator is saying, we can do everything. We can do moon, we can do Mars, and we can do science. Let's do it all, baby. And on the other hand, we have this proposal, which is saying, cut it all. And you would hope, if the administration is going to be backing their nominee for NASA administrator and their goals and plans and vision for the administration, that the budget proposal negotiations wouldn't start from, we're going to slash and burn science, baby. You would hope it would start from, okay, here's what you've had already. Let's give you a smidgen more so that you can get more done while also cutting and reorganizing and making efficiencies and etc. But not, hey, go to the moon, go to Mars, and do science, and do it with $5 billion less. That's a crap deal, my friend.
I would also say, with totally cutting of the telescope, if this is just a starting point, then they would have to totally get that back in there and have to make potentially compromises in other places. So is that more cuts elsewhere in the science funding to get the telescope that's been underway? There are just so many trade-offs, and I totally agree. This is a starting point, and hopefully things will be able to get shuffled around and they'll be able to make the most of even a cut budget. But this is just a really bad place to start, and I don't think making cuts in the places that cuts should be made.
D, I have a question for you. Why would the president want to get rid of the Roman telescope? The telescope that he championed and put a name on, because it was called, what was it called before? I don't even remember its old name. The current administration was there previously, and they're the ones that championed the Nancy Roman telescope and put a name on it and got it on the books and got it funding. Why would you get rid of it?
Because it has a
that makes
woman's
no
name.
sense.
It can be part of. I mean, you were just saying
Was that
it's
too
part of the
spicy?
negotiation,
Sorry.
part of the back and forth.
This might have been too spicy. Let's watch the thing. We have a thing. Let's watch the thing, and then we'll have a comment from Hagen.
I'm an advocate for science. During these missions to space, my crew and I performed approximately 50 science and research experiments. I've also publicly supported the Chandra X-ray Observatory and offered to fund a mission to extend the life and capabilities of the Hubble Space Telescope. I care about the people back at home and our collective future here on Earth. Number 3, NASA will be a force multiplier for science. We will leverage NASA's scientific talent and capabilities to enable academic institutions and industry to increase the rate of world-changing discoveries. We will launch more telescopes, more probes, more rovers, and endeavor to better understand our planet and the universe beyond. If confirmed, I will work alongside and recruit the most talented minds this nation has to offer, and we will concentrate our resources towards achieving the near impossible, the objectives that no other agency, company, or institution is capable of accomplishing. We will do so, knowing the risks and the groundbreaking opportunities that lie ahead, because some risks, like exploring the worlds beyond ours, are worth taking. I sure hope so. NASA was built to do the near impossible and have a thriving space economy in low Earth orbit and continue extraordinary science missions to kind of unlock the secrets of the universe, sir. The second part, ma'am, is what I mentioned in my opening remarks about NASA being a force multiplier for science. Once we inspire them in their youth to want to grow up and join this grand endeavor, we want to get them hands-on in their various academic institutions. I think NASA can lend its expertise, its talent, its bulk buying of rockets, its standard bus architecture, and get academic institutions to want to contribute, whether it's building probes or sensors, get them hands-on so when they graduate, they want to join the greatest space agency in the world.
Will you be an advocate for science within the administration?
Yes, ma'am. I do believe the president is looking to usher in a golden age of science and discovery. Personally, I just spent a few days ago with 40 different science and researchers sharing the results from my most recent mission to space. I'm passionate about science. I'd love nothing more than to continue to see NASA go out and try and unlock the secrets of the universe. Well, Senator, I think right now NASA has a pretty extraordinary budget. I believe it's close to every federal law enforcement agency combined ×2. With that budget and those resources available, I do believe we can do the near impossible. I think we can have multiple flagship scientific missions at once, which means we can have multiple space exploration missions at once and try and solve the space economy in low Earth orbit, sir.
I mean, it sounds great. Sounds great to me. Hagen, are you there? You are our science correspondent. So. You're science editor, right? Is that your official title?
Yeah, I've done that a little bit. Yeah.
You were on our broadcast for the launch of James Webb. You are one of the smarter people that I have the fortune of knowing, and in a lot of ways, what bothers me about this negotiation process is beginning that we've seen here is it has an effect on consistency, on predictability for these programs, and as someone like yourself who is soon to be getting into various fields or these fields that might be affected. I don't know. I just wanted to bring you on and let you say your piece because I know you had thoughts.
Yes, I definitely do. I think for me, the biggest thing, I've been covering this stuff since, in 10 days, it'll be 4 years I've been at NSF. And my first article from the get-go was on a science mission. And so I've been following this stuff, writing about this stuff for years. And there's always the looming possibility of funding cuts. That's always something that you read about in science. It's not been. This is not a complete and total surprise that we're seeing this. It's something that, like I said, we see it regularly, and even up before today, we've heard rumblings that Science Mission Director is likely going to get some pretty significant cuts. So whenever I woke up this morning and saw the Ars article, I can't say that I was too terribly stunned. Definitely disappointed whenever we actually got some of the figures on what would be happening, particularly with the astrophysics figure cutting 2/3 of funding. I really, really, really hated to see that. But yeah, I mean, and I tweeted out some of my thoughts, posted some of my thoughts about this earlier. But my main thing is that after Shuttle ended, NASA basically kind of had to rely on their science missions. They're not going to get the same amount of engagement and same amount of, I guess, publicity from their astronauts riding on a Soyuz to the ISS, which is what they did for 9 years until commercial crews started flying on Dragon.
Ingenuity flying on Mars. That's science. That's a science mission.
Yeah.
Helicopter on Mars, baby. That is one of NASA's biggest wins in recent memory, along with, James Webb. Science.
Yeah. And so, I distinctly remember in that time period before, crews started actually flying again and NASA could market flying their own astronauts on their own rockets from American soil. I think, it's like they depended on it for so long. And that's kind of what helped push their, NASA is one of the most marketable agencies in the U.S. government. Everybody knows what NASA is. It doesn't matter what country you're from, what language you speak, everybody knows what NASA is. And part of that continued popularity and what helps sustain them as an agency is, how marketable they are and these missions that they can push out. Hey, we landed a helicopter on Mars and it did 40-something flights. Hey, we just launched this incredible telescope that's going to allow us to see back to the Big Bang. These are really cool things that people don't know are actually happening. And whenever they find out that they're actually happening, they're like, whoa, this is really, really, really cool. And so to see that that's something that could be so easily taken away. And, of course, as EJ mentioned, it is a negotiation. None of this is official. Who knows what's actually going to come out of this? Politics is extraordinarily confusing.
Nobody likes seeing how the sausage gets made, and we all have front row seats because it's internet.
Yeah. So, who knows what's actually going to come out of this? But, as you and D mentioned, it's a hint as what might happen. And to actually see what might happen, and not just with NASA, we saw it earlier, I believe, with NOAA and some of the, big cuts they're making to weather research and stuff like that. It's a bit, frankly, it's a bit scary and a bit weird because, we've never kind of, in recent memory, been in this position where we've been without science. And here we are trying to figure out what we're going to do if we don't have that science.
It feels penny-wise, pound foolish to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully, guys, we can get out of this with a NASA budget that's more sensible. Oh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you there.
I mean, you even listen to this. I mean, Hagen's not wrong that this has happened before, and they tried to axe the science budget in 2017. This has happened before. Guys, I'm people are like, well, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. Dude, they did this in 2017. He did the same thing. He lowballed the frick out of NASA's budget. That happened. Okay? That happened. All right? It did. And guess what? It didn't. Congress didn't allow it to go through because it was a negotiation, like what Hayden was saying. It's a negotiation. They're going back and forth. And guess what? Jack, you remember that ingenuity thing that you were talking about just a second ago? How that was an awesome scientific thing? Oh, wait, how did that happen? How did that happen? That's weird.
But
that's weird. It's almost then the Roman telescope. The Roman telescope.
Go ahead, Hagen.
EJ, you bring up a good point, and that's that, this isn't going to completely eliminate NASA from doing science. I mean, it's not like they brought this up and said 100% budget cut. I mean, science is still going to happen. Obviously, not to the capacity that myself or I'm willing to bet a majority of people would like it to if this goes through. However, NASA's not going to stop. The core of NASA, the foundation that it stands upon is science. Nothing's going to be able to take that away. And so, I agree with EJ. This is not the end of the world. This is not something that's like, obviously it's not going to be nice for a little bit, but this is just one budget cut. Who knows? Maybe in a few years it'll all reverse. Who knows what can happen? So it's interesting. It's an interesting place to be.
Indeed, interesting is definitely one word for it. Well, thank you, Hagen, for jumping on. EJ, I don't disagree. And Hagen, if you want to stick around and pipe, feel free to pipe in. I know, you actually have a life, unlike these three nerds. But yeah, if you want to hang out, if you have any thoughts, go for it. We're gonna do some questions here in a minute, but I do just want to say, EJ, I know, I understand where you're coming from. That they're trying to negotiate here, and that they tried to cut the budget before, and then it's gonna be okay. But wouldn't it be way better if instead of lowballing NASA, they just balled NASA? They're already asking for a Mars mission and a Moon mission and science flagship missions. So give them the same amount of money and tell them spend this money much more wisely, and then maybe NASA would even what?
Jack, how you guys? Okay, all right. Look, you spend the money more wisely. All right. So how do you know that that's not doing this? What if they take that $5 billion away from the science mission director and use it to champion a Mars program? Are people going to be pissed about that?
Do we need to do that?
I don't know. What if it does?
Realistically, I spend a huge amount of my time here in Starbase. I am watching this Manhattan Project level thing come together over the course of years, and have been. I don't know that pumping billions of dollars into Starbase, then that's not specifically what you're even saying. I'm just saying, if we throw billions of dollars at Starship and other unspecified programs to get to Mars rapidly, I don't know that we get there much faster than how fast we're getting there right now, given Starship's development process. How do you
know it's going to Starship? What's the assumption there?
What else is getting humans to Mars? What else is going to get humans to Mars? Nothing. It's Starship. That's it. In the near future, the only two things that are getting people to Mars are Starship and some kind of hab that's built on orbit using Starship and probably propelled by a Starship bus of some sort. You're not going to send people to Mars on Orion. No way. It makes no sense.
Jack,
you seem to know an awful lot about this.
I have to chime in. Do you think SpaceX is going to continue this without some funding?
SpaceX's founding mission is to go to Mars. They're going to Mars whether we want to or not. They're going to Mars. Elon wants to build a colony on Mars. He wants to get a backup for human civilization. There's nothing in that stated mission goal and we'll make the U.S. a leader in space again. That's by proxy. That's a side benefit.
Yeah,
that's part of the reason. That's part of the reason the program got chosen for Artemis, because they were already going to be developing Starship and spending their own money to develop Starship, and NASA was like, okay, we can get a good deal if we just piggyback on this for Artemis. That's why when people are like, oh, the government's spending so much money on Elon Musk's blowing up Starship rocket, it's like, well, actually, they're developing it largely with their own money, and these contracts are for specific things that they haven't even really developed.
Elon has said that it requires the whole world. I mean, so has Isaacman, right? To be on board for
that. I don't disagree with.
But that includes governments, and unless space just becomes a big commercial enterprise.
Well, it's okay. It's going
already
to.
is.
It's going to. But that aside. Yeah, no, I agree. The whole world needs to be on it. I mean, if we're going to launch Starship 4 times in a week, that's the entire U.S.'s supply of liquid oxygen for the week. Yes, it's going to take a massive collective effort. I don't know.
And even once SpaceX starts going to Mars, which I feel like that's pretty inevitable. They're going to start going to Mars. They might bring science experiments with them, and there might be some really cool science that happens as a result of it. But just because they're doing science doesn't mean that it's necessarily what we need or want to have done as a nation, and it doesn't mean that it couldn't be better spent if we actually focused the budget early.
When it's public science, then it's for public good. When it's a private company doing science, that's their own proprietary information, what they can do with what they please. Maybe they release it for human good. Maybe they profit off of it somehow. EJ, your brow is furrowed. You have furrowed your brow. Is this just not interesting to you because it's a nothing burger, because it's just a budget proposal? Like, what's...
Yeah, I think we're... Guys, don't get me wrong. No, not at all. No, I think people are getting confused. I think people are, I see everybody in chat grilling me, like, do you guys not understand that I'm not advocating for a science law, for the science program to get completely gutted?
No, you never said that.
That's ridiculous.
You never once said that.
But I'm getting treated like that. I don't think that's not what I'm talking about. Okay, all right. You want to look at brass tacks with this. You want to look at what's going on. You know good and well Congress won't do this. They won't go along with this. Not a chance. There's no freaking way this passes. There's not a chance. There's not a fighting chance that this goes through, this gets passed. That's what I mean about it being a negotiation. All right. So one, why would you go against everything that Rook is saying in his testimony? Because he's there to basically represent the administration. We talk more about that later. But two, how are you going to get this through Congress? Do you remember the last time somebody tried to pull the rug out from NASA, like the entire NASA program? You remember the last time that happened? They pulled the rug out on Constellation. We got something like SLS. You think they don't know this? Like, guys, I understand, cause for alarm and stuff, but guys, there's no way. This is a huge nothing burger, and people are freaking out for no reason. Okay, and guys, you know what? If I'm wrong, hold me to it. I'm serious. If I'm wrong, come and tell me I'm wrong. I'll admit it. I will.
Oh, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it on the Flame Trench. Yeah, we absolutely will.
Like,
okay,
I could be wrong. Who knows? It's possible.
Agree or disagree? Oh crap! I forgot. I completely forgot what I was.
More coffee, Jack. More coffee. Go.
More coffee, Jack.
Really, actually,
drink it.
Jump in a little bit. Like, I think we're all on the same page here that the proposed large cuts aren't a crazy new thing, and this proposal is likely not where things are going to end up. I would say it seems like Jack and I are a bit more concerned about where it will end up than EJ, but I really feel like we're largely on the same page here. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, I remembered what I was going to say. EJ and D, this is a question from me to both of you. Agree or disagree, there is utility in the outcry that we have seen today. Regardless of whether the final budget, whether it's a process or negotiation, agree or disagree, there is utility in people seeing this and reacting in a way. EJ, question mark.
What utility are you saying, Jack? What do you mean?
I think it's useful for people to see this and go, oh, that's awful. If people saw this and were like, yeah, it's fine, didn't make a peep, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a negotiation. It's just budget. It doesn't matter. I don't care.
Because
that's bad. That's not how the process works. This right here, us talking, some people being like, this is messed up, and some people being like, it's fine, and some people being like, it needs to be cut more. That's the process, right? Like, we all talk and we all agree, like, hey, this is messed up, or actually, no, it's fine. So, good. But I don't know. I think there is utility in people going, oh my God, this is terrible. If this exact thing passed, this is terrible. I mean, I'm not trying to Chicken Little and run around with my head cut off, but I do think there's utility in people being like, that emperor right there, no clothes on him. I'm not saying that's going to be our emperor, but if that guy is our emperor, no clothes.
That's a very, very poor way to say that analogy.
Sorry. And also, I do really quickly, I see David Murray, an 8-month Red Team member, saying Jack's negative attitude toward everything is really starting to get frustrating. Well, let me tell you my really negative thoughts toward... No, I apologize. I want to bring people joy. That's the number one thing I enjoy doing, even more than pointing cameras at rockets with what we do here at NSF. I like bringing people joy. So I'm sorry if my negative attitude is a downer for you. I try not to do that. But like we said at the start of the show, it's a spicy week this week. So I'll try and be better.
So I will agree with you that I think everyone sharing their thoughts on these cuts is useful, and it will be useful at the very least, even just to show representatives where the space community and the people they represent are most passionate about continuing to get funding, getting more funding, and the like. I think it's a valuable conversation to have, even if I don't like the reason that the conversation started, I guess I would say.
Welp.
Can I jump in? I'm going to jump in again. I don't have to ask. I'm the producer.
Then why did you?
I don't know. So this administration has said that they are going to cut the federal budget in an effort to cut the federal deficit. Why is NASA special? Why does NASA get a get out of jail free card?
Prestige.
I don't think it does.
Prestige, baby.
But like I don't have an answer to that. Because it doesn't make sense to me. Why doesn't the National Science Foundation give the U.S. prestige? Why doesn't
it does?
Why don't our commercial enterprises give the U.S. prestige?
They do. Some of the most patriotic and greatest I've ever felt in my life about this country are specifically rocket launches.
Why doesn't our military have that prestige?
It does.
I'm playing devil's advocate here. I love NASA. I think NASA does amazing things. I had astronauts on my wall when I was 5 years old. Like this is what I grew up with. But why does NASA get a get out of jail free card?
Anyone else can feel free to yell at Kevin if they want. Kevin, I appreciate your advocating the devil here. Because what is the percentage of NASA's budget to the overall U.S. We spend
Jack,
more...
Jack, hold up. You're absolutely right. We spend way more on other things, dude. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. It's messed up. I don't think that's even the right way to look at it, dude. Why is NASA special? I don't know. Maybe because there's a guy that's obsessed with rockets that's like 1 degree of separation from the president. Go right for the jugular, man. Maybe that has something to do with it. Just putting it out there.
I mean, that
just
certainly can't hurt. You would hope that would not hurt. And that's what I mean, dude. I will say, the fact that this proposal is so aggressive against cutting $5 billion from NASA,
that's what I mean, dude. It doesn't make sense.
You can't say they're playing favorites. You can't say they're playing favorites here.
But do you see what I'm getting at? Guys, don't get me wrong. I want to be very clear. I don't want to see the science budget get gutted. Don't confuse me for some anti-science crazy person.
You're just saying don't panic.
Just don't freak out. That makes no sense. That's what I'm talking about. They're gonna put Rook forward as their nominee. A huge science advocate, a huge STEM outreach advocate. He's talking about all these grandiose things, and that could be pipe dreams. Yeah, I'm not going to rule that out, sure. But they're going to put that forward, right? The guy has Elon whispering in his ear, right? And I get it. People don't like him. Yeah, believe me. I know people will let me know that they don't like him. I get it, right? But that doesn't make any sense. And then they're going to come out with this. That it's entirely contradictory to objective reality. That makes no sense, dude. It makes no sense, and that's what I mean. It makes no sense. That's how I came to
this timeline. There's a lot of things that don't make sense.
I don't think does it make there are so many different places that we could get cut.
We spent more on stealth helicopters than all of Russia's military spending. Stealth helicopters. I want you to. Those two words are a contradiction: stealth and helicopter.
I don't think necessarily even the argument to make is just that. Well, it's such a small portion of the federal budget, which, it is a really small portion of the federal budget overall, but that doesn't mean there aren't places that can be cut that make sense to be cut. It's just the cuts in the proposal seem haphazard rather than continuing to forward the scientific goals. It very much feels like the proposal here continuing to, and I love SLS, but like SLS is one of the more controversial and was like one of the higher things that everyone was talking about being on the chopping block, but it has a ton of support in Congress because it's so spread out, because all those representatives are supporting jobs in their area. And whereas SLS is, we've had the SLS is expensive discussion, so I won't say it's expensive. I'll just say there's a lot of money being spent on SLS, and it's going across the country.
I already know what EJ is going to say is if you take that money away, it doesn't go to anything else. They just take it away, and it doesn't. We just don't get to put it into science. But your point is taken, and I don't want to put words in EJ's mouth.
Yeah, if you were to make that point, then then what about this $5 billion? Where is that going? That's not going back to science. That's not being spent in a more optimized way on getting this telescope off the ground sooner, getting it done more efficiently. Like, I hope that with Jared at the helm, NASA will be able to do even more missions, and we'll be able to continue to expand science reach even if there is a budget cut. I just don't think this is the starting point.
Well, it is, so deal with it. I don't know. I wanted to get really mean with it. Let me thank some people, and we can take some viewer questions and comments, and we can wrap up our thoughts here and move on to our next topic, because I don't want people to get sick of this. But it's a flame trench, baby. Let's see here. Space Pope, blessing this trench. Thank you so much. The Space Pope. Ethereal Swordsman, thank you for the $10 tip. They say, gonna have to call you on this one, EJ. I thought you said NASA space funding would be safe under this admin. NOAA is also in this draft, and major life-saving parts are on the chopping block too. They've also been gutting climate change research too. Is this just like standard negotiation tactics? You're not worried about it? I mean, frankly, I'm not too worried about it until we start seeing a budget go through the legislature, but it still makes me worried given the starting point. EJ, Ethereal Swordsman's calling you out. I don't know if you want
to. Yeah, Ethereal. Dude, like, you know me. I wouldn't, like, I'm not just pulling this out of my tail, right? Like, you guys know me. Like, I'm not too crazy. I mean, maybe a little bit, but I really don't think I think this is just a negotiation. Like, if you look at the trends, all right, so they lowballed NASA, they lowballed the science budget by $1.6 billion in 2017, for fiscal year 2017. Everyone freaked out, like what Jack was talking about. Everyone freaked out, and they ended up getting an expanded science budget, and we got stuff like the Roman telescope. We got stuff like Ingenuity on Perseverance. We have all this great expanding scientific stuff that happened during that time. Like, and you could say it's a little bit of a roundabout way there, but believe me, I would like nothing more than, Jack, for what you said, to just like, hey, let's spend more money on NASA. Okay, let's do that. Sweet. Okay, cool. Now we're back on the moon. But hey, I'll take a roundabout way to get more funding for NASA over, doing like highballing it, which is, what they've been trying to do over the last 4 years now. And guess what? What did that get us? That got us with canceled Viper. That got us with canceled Chandra. That got us with.
I feel like increasingly it's going to be what's the character from the Matrix? Was it Switch? The one that's just like not like this. This.
But do you see the pattern that I'm talking about?
I do see the pattern. It doesn't mean I have to like it, my friend.
Pushing through with the science budget and trying to get them more and more money is clearly not ended well. Like, I'm not. You guys can call me crazy. That's fine. And once again, here's the thing. I'll admit if I'm wrong. I'll tell you guys right here. I could be wrong. And if people think I'm wrong right now, it could be. It's possible. I'm not like this. I'm not like. If this goes through, I'm going to be pissed just like everybody else, dude. But if it doesn't, are you guys going to reciprocate? What if I'm right? What if I'm right? Then NASA's going to end up with a ton of money.
I don't think, at least D or I don't think either of us are saying, this is going to go through. This is what's going to be the budget. The sky is falling. Like, nobody's doing that. Oh, God, that video of me doing that's on the internet forever. Well, you make decisions and you live with them. But I don't think anyone's really saying that. What we're saying is this is, yes, a negotiation, and it's a cruddy starting spot. We wish the starting spot for the negotiation was less.
Empirically, that's incorrect. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I get it. We'll see. We'll see how it pans out. Let me thank more people, and then we'll do some questions, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
Okay.
We friends? We still friends?
Of course. I'm not mad. I'm having fun. This is a good time.
That's what you think. Blake Alexander, thanks for gifting 10 Red Team memberships. I've had a lot of coffee.
Are we not friends? I know where you live, right?
Oh, God. I don't know where you live, but you know where I live. But you don't know where my apartment in LA is.
I see. You told me where it is.
But that doesn't matter because you don't live in LA.
And as a member of the membership team, I'm furious.
High five, D.
I'm furious right now.
High five.
I'm livid. And my blood is boiling. Oh, Chromatic, thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. Everybody gifting the memberships. It's such a sweet thing to do. Thank you.
D, look at how red he's getting.
What we do without the membership program. Is D on the Red Team? Because it looks like it from the look of your face. Seriously, membership program rules. We have a Discord that you can get access to at Capcom level and above. At Red Team, if you just got gifted one, you get members-only content like photos and videos, sometimes members-only streams, sometimes. You get all kinds of... Oh, and you get the members-only emoji if you're on Red Team. So if you just got gifted a membership, be sure to spam some emoji. I'm going to spam some star hoppers because I can. Because the mods can't stop me. But seriously, membership program, integral to what we do. So thank you to everyone who is participating in that. Gunfox just gifted 10 memberships right there. Verd Lagus is asking, hey, EJ, go eat your nothing burger. Leave the optimism to us. We'll get there.
I'm the one that's being optimistic. You guys are the one that are being pessimistic.
I feel like people... I feel like people
I want my optimistic nothing burger.
You really did DOS us because you're arguing a thing that we didn't even realize that you were arguing the whole time. You really did DOS us.
Hey, don't DOS light me. Come on.
What?
I'm sorry, DOS. Don't kill me.
What are y'all
Please don't kill me. Don't fire me. I like this job.
Okay. Bideford, thank you. $50. It's a huge amount of money, and Bideford always comes through. Please, guys, everyone needs to realize this is a starting point with budgetary negotiations. NASA will be promoted and grow with Jared at the helm. Optimism, please. Hugs. Thank you, Bideford. I don't think any of us disagree with that. Finder, thank you for the $10 dues. They say, who put these cuts? Removed next election. NASA needs $1 trillion. No cuts. Australia has nothing like NASA, ESA, China getting there. Elon wants to go to Mars. Boost funding. Here. $1 trillion to NASA? That'd be sick. Daryl Swordsman again. Thanks, buddy, with a $5 tip. They say, if you're right, I'll admit I was wrong, but I can't forgive the gutting of climate change research, which is actively happening already. Hagen, are you still there?
I am.
Why is NOAA important?
Well, Noah's pretty important.
Really easy, simple, small scope questions for you here only.
I mean, the National Weather Service is a part of NOAA. All of our, your Hurricane Hunter aircraft that fly into your hurricanes and, get that data. Those are NOAA planes. Jack, your drink is transcending.
No, keep talking.
Matter. But NOAA's really important because it's part of really it's the foundation on which all of our, at least in the United States, our weather programs and weather research and Earth observation research is based on.
Forecasting tornadoes, forecasting hurricanes.
Yeah.
Kind of important.
All that type of stuff, yeah.
Crop I imagine it's important for farmers. I don't know. I'm a stupid
Yep.
city boy.
As a farmer's son, it is very important for farmers. But
I mean,
yeah,
Hagen, there's also meteorological information, and not like the weatherman, but like meteorological information for air traffic. That's kind of important to know which way the wind's blowing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, it's kind of
So,
important.
to an extent. These NOAA cuts are, honestly, if you were to tell me would I rather them cut NOAA's funding or would I rather them cut NASA's funding, I would honestly tell you I would rather them cut NASA's funding, because NOAA is such a critical and important part of keeping Americans safe. And, like EJ and like we've all said, everything is just a negotiation. I am optimistic that that we are looking at what is the worst possible outcome. I think, you just constantly hear, I mean, it's been all over my X feed all day about, oh no, the end of NASA is near and stuff like that.
It's ridiculous.
Not going to happen. I'm optimistic. We're at an important point in NASA's history. We're about to hopefully see a new administrator come in.
I really hope we're at the inflection point, the hockey stick curve. I hope we're right there at the bottom of the stick where it's just like, woohoo! Like, that's what we all want, right?
Yeah. There are significantly more unknowns right now than there are knowns. And I think the human brain just tends to hone in on those knowns and just try to pull what it can out of it. So, like I said, I'm optimistic. I highly doubt any of this is going to be as bad as it is. And I think that in a few years from now, we're going to look back on this and be like, that was kind of stressful, but it ended up not being as bad as it was. So, yeah.
Thank you, Hagen. Okay, one more bit of support. Steve Kalovic, thank you so much. I love that Steve and Bideford are just like dueling support. Are they like sitting next to each other while they do this? I've worked with and in government the last 16 years. A 20% budget cut is easily absorbed due to the horrible waste and inefficiency. I believe Jared will do a fantastic job with less money. But Jared, like, can he do a fantastic
way to
job
look
with
at it.
more money? Please? Or the same amount of money?
Jack, people already hate me already, so whatever. I'll just go ahead and say it.
I don't think there's much you could do or say that would make me hate you, EJ. I don't think there is anything that you would do or say that would make me hate you.
No, what? No. Yeah, I'm talking about the people in chat. We're good.
We're having a talk here. And chat needs to understand that we're on the Flame Trench. It's a debate show. We're naturally going to, take various positions and debate. Like, it's a show. We're performing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're all hanging out. We're regular people, but also this is a show. So don't hate EJ. Don't hate me if I'm too negative. I'm sorry.
I do. Okay, people are going to grill me for this, but we're already here. I think the money's already there. Yeah, I think NASA makes enough money to support a really, really good and healthy space program, science budget, whatever. Capital allocation is NASA's problem from a programmatic level. Like, if we're just, I mean, look, if I'm going to be there, people are going to hate me. I'm going to say this, all right? The money's there. NASA got $23 billion last year. $23 billion. Dude, Jack, you said it yourself. NASA doesn't need a lot of money. They get 0.5% of the federal budget. They don't need a lot of money. Look at all the crazy stuff that they've been able to do with that. Can you imagine?
I prefer they got 1%. I prefer they did get a lot of money. They don't need a lot of money because they've been able to work out being this scrappy agency, doing what they can with the pittance that they're given. Meanwhile, we're spending more on air conditioning in the Middle East than we do on...
Yeah,
Calm, Jack.
Careful.
Calm,
Calm
Jack.
Calm it down. Calm it down. Calm it down. The money is already there. If we... Okay, like, humor me for a second. Okay, so... you can like SLS, you can hate SLS. That's fair. No one here can sit and argue that the Artemis program is a very solid spaceflight architecture from a systems engineering standpoint.
I don't even care about SLS here. Just kill the gateway. Just kill the freaking gateway.
That's what I'm getting at. Listen, hear me out. If you look at systems architecture of like the Artemis program, and then you look at systems architecture from like your systems engineering from the Apollo program. The Apollo, you have Your entire viable pathway to the moon, it can be traced basically from the time they start manufacturing materials all the way to the surface of the moon and back. Like, that's what I mean. It is a very well integrated and well thought out architecture. No one can sit here and argue with me that the Artemis program is carrying that same kind of, oh yeah, no, this is a really good idea. No, it's an architecture that was come up with because a bunch of politicians, because, well, ironically, someone tried to pull the rug out from NASA. They tried to get rid of NASA's human spaceflight program, and Congress freaked out about it and ended up giving the human spaceflight operations more money. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Like, I'm not trying to point fingers here either. What I am trying to say is that the SLS is a fragmented architecture. Can you imagine if we had a good goal in a good systems engineering that was actually done by NASA engineers? That opens up the door for your capital allocation in the applications of your systems engineering to be a lot tighter than it is, meaning that the money is already there. The money's there. You just gotta, if you don't have a good goal and a good architecture to back it up, there's going to be waste all over the place. Can anybody here sit here and, I mean, personally, I don't think this is entirely true, but how many people in here think SLS is overpriced? How many people think it's too expensive?
Hi.
There you go. Why is it too expensive?
Because they never actually hit rate production.
Bingo. There's no steady architecture behind it. Can you imagine if a program got the funding that SLS, or even if they refactored SLS, right?
I'm not disagreeing with you at all, but how does the stability get affected when a budget proposal comes out like this for the science programs? Think about what a budget proposal like this does to anybody who's thinking about maybe getting in these fields, anybody who's working in these fields and wants any modicum of job security, anybody at any of these NASA centers who are like, well, crap, am I going to have a job next year, the year after that, the year after that? Because who knows when the time comes and all these come up on the chopping block. And that's like, we don't want a brain drain. We want a brain sump. Brain sump, not brain drain.
Well, first of all, Jack, like, all right, I'm just going to be complete devil's advocate here, and everybody can hate me, and that's fine. That's okay, whatever.
You got the short end of the stick because we all picked the easy side, and you had to go with the heel side.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. Look, if you're a young engineer, you don't want to work at NASA. That's the objective reality. You don't want. Why would you want to work there? You want to work at SpaceX or Blue Origin. The people that actually launch things.
Not if you do pure science.
Actually, EJ, I can come in right now.
Do it.
Hagen?
So, and this isn't really a rebuttal. I'm actually going to kind of support EJ's statement here a bit.
Crap!
I don't know. But, I am a college student. I'm a sophomore in college right now. I am majoring in astrophysics. And for me
people like Hagen.
I think we need more engineers and physicists. I think we need more of it all, But, for somebody like me, I'm graduating from college with my undergrad degree in 2 years. And, for the longest time, my goal has been to go to work at Goddard or something like that. And I know we heard rumblings in today's thing about, maybe there might not be a Goddard in 2 years. And, for me, that was kind of disheartening, because like I said, my dream has always been to work at somewhere like Goddard or JPL. And to know that might not be an option, that was kind of disheartening a bit. But at the same time, I know that this is all politics. This is all something that as we've said 15 million times, this is all a negotiation. None of this is certain. But at the same time, for somebody like me, I probably think about my future and like what I'm going to be doing in like 5 years, like maybe two times every hour. Like, it's just like, it's a constant thing that's happening in my head. And I'm always thinking about, where am I going to be? And when I woke up and read the article this morning, it really made me think about, okay, how is this going to affect my future? And I think I'm speaking to a lot of people that are, here listening today, because I know that there are a plethora of college students and high school students who also listen and are watching right now. So, as I said before, I'm optimistic. I did not wake up this morning and read that and say to myself, oh no, I'm never going to be able to be an astrophysicist. I'm not going to be able to work on James Webb. I'm not going to be able to work at Goddard. I didn't say that. I just said to myself, I was like, okay, I'm just going to have to sit down and watch this and see where it goes. At the same time, I love SpaceX. I love Blue Origin. And I know that that's a route where if I work hard enough, I can go that way if I want to. So, if you're in my position, if anybody here watching is in college, or hey, you don't even have to be in college, if you just have a desire to do something, I don't want this and the negativity of, because chat's pointed out there's been some negativity with this stream, but that's just going to happen whenever you're talking about what we're talking about. But I don't want anything that we're talking about to pull somebody down, because this is very much, as we said, this is politics. Nobody knows what's going to happen. For me personally, I'm just going to keep my head down and keep on going. So, yeah.
It's great. It's a great way to go about it, buddy.
Hagen, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Just an interesting, this is kind of on topic, but it kind of isn't. Do you, you want to work for NASA, you want to work with the sciences, right? Do you fear that, okay, so like say they go in, right, and say they axe SLS and stuff too, and say they start axing all these programs, they trim everything, like say that actually does happen, like, are you worried that like this fragmented architecture and like we kind of have just programs scattered to the wind all over the place doing a bunch of different things that could basically like the incessant drive to like commercialize everything with NASA and like have NASA have the scraps of programs like in-house could lead to just privatizing any scientific research at all? I'm just curious. I'm going somewhere with this. I just want to know, like, do you think that's a bad thing? Like, NASA relying on commercial all the time to launch their scientific missions?
No, I do not know, because I think as we've seen with the launches, I mean, Europa Clipper launched on Falcon Heavy, Psyche launched on Falcon Heavy, I think there's benefits to, going into the private industry and, really utilizing that it's there. Because the more that we push away, the more that NASA stays away from that, the more it's just going to keep on doing the same thing it has, And so I absolutely think that if there's an opportunity there where we could go in and where NASA could go in, and if there's an opportunity for there to be some sort of SpaceX for astrophysics, I'm all for it, because that's another opportunity for new engineers. It's a new opportunity for new scientists. It's a new opportunity, For me, I don't view it as it's tearing NASA down. At the end of the day, NASA's not going anywhere. As I said at the beginning, NASA's going to always be a core part of the American government just because it's NASA. I don't think it's going anywhere. And so as long as NASA is there, I think they should tap into that stuff, but also realize that they're NASA and really use their position as the leader of, astrophysics, as the leader of Earth science, and really push for that more and leverage that ability to really leverage their long history of science and stuff like that to really tap into new markets and new, commercial and private industries and stuff like that. But I also think, to an extent, they need to maintain their own bit of it. So there's some sort of delicate balance that can be reached there. But to your point, absolutely, I don't think we should push away from the private side of things. So really,
really quick, to your point, I did a tweet a couple weeks ago because I watched. I think it was Brian McManus. What's his YouTube channel? I always forget. It's like something engineering.
Real Engineering.
Real Engineering. Was that the channel that did the video on the RTGs recently? Either way, I can't remember. Okay, I watched a video on RTGs, and I did a tweet that was like, NASA should prioritize
pipes.
RTG research and restarting, getting plutonium production, and then make a bunch of RTGs, and then say, here you go, Rocket Lab, do you want to do a mission to Venus? Here you go, SpaceX, do you want to do provide the resources, whether it's RTGs or something else, to private companies to do that science, while also still themselves doing science that the companies won't pursue, because we've all heard the story, oh God, that truck. We've all heard the story of, insert pharmaceutical company here won't pursue insert cure for illness because it's not economically, there won't be a return on the investment for the research.
Jack,
there will always be the pure research that needs to be done by a public entity, but there's also research that can be done by private entities as well. EJ, please go ahead. Just look at supersonic retropropulsion.
What about it?
That was something that NASA had studied a little bit, but then SpaceX took and actually turned into a thing. Public-private partnership, baby. That's what it should be.
And that's why I wanted to get Hagen's, kind of view on that issue, because guys, you want to hear something crazy, and this is going to sound ridiculous coming from me. If you think what I said was ludicrous before, here, I think that NASA needs to have their own in-house programs. I think they need to have that, and they need to be blazing the trail on the scientific front, and the commercial sector should be following in its wake. Now, this isn't an endorsement. This isn't saying SpaceX needs to slow down and wait for NASA to catch up or anything like that, right? But the incessant drive to commercialize NASA is inherently commercializing your science too, and I'm not sure if that's a good idea, right?
Like I've said, yeah, I think there should be a balance, right?
Now, see, people are going to wonder where are you going with this? Well, what I'm going with it is that if you look at the 2017 Transitional Authorization Act, right? They tried to do this. They tried to defund science. Everybody freaked out and ended up giving science a ton more money, right? Like you said, it's like you were saying, they put an alarm to it and it ended up getting more money. And then the science mission directorate expanded. We saw all kinds of cool stuff. We saw the Dragonfly mission come on Dragonfly may have come on the books after that, but you get the idea. The point is that these negotiations are a roundabout way to kind of get NASA more money, And I think that's what NASA needs, to be honest. But then again, on the other hand, you could make the argument that the money is there too, but I think the Science Mission Directorate needs more money. I think the money is there for human spaceflight. Like, if we want to get down to brass tacks, you see what I'm saying though? NASA can't commercialize everything. And I think this is a really, really weird roundabout negotiation way to get more money on the table for NASA inadvertently. Just a thought.
I hope you're right, my guy. I really do. It's just, is my camera not on? Oh, my camera is on. Okay, cool. I hope you're right. I think we've probably. I can't say.
Oh, I want to keep going. You don't even want to keep going?
Oh, no, we can keep going. We did have a poll in chat a few minutes ago. The poll was, what do you think it is? A nothing burger or concerning? I don't. I think there should have been a third option, and the third option should have been keep an eye on it. It's not a nothing burger to me. It's also not the sky is falling. It's a keep an eye on it.
You sound pretty down in the dumps when you introduce this topic. I'm just saying.
I mean, I'm not stoked about it. What I am stoked about, though, is that EJ's face? I am stoked about EJ's face. What I am stoked about is everyone continuing to support us, even as we get spicy here. Space Pope again with a $10 super. They said, "Oh, it's on." Steve and Bideford gift off. Something Nessie. I don't know how to say your name. Sorry. They said, "We don't hate you, EJ, even if we may have differences of opinion." Now, Long March 5.
Now watch us drive.
Now, Long March $5, and it was a $5 super. Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
I do think that's something that's been lost. We've lost the ability to have conversations and not be like, "You're literally evil." Let's just chat about stuff.
I saw a couple people say that to me. People said some pretty mean stuff in chat.
We've lost that ability. I think there's great utility in being able to have discussions with people you vehemently disagree with and walk away friends. We're all people here. We're all on the same spinning ball of rock, hurtling through space on the back of 5 turtles on the back of a giant elephant together.
I disagree with that.
Wait, we're friends here?
Allegedly, Space Pope again gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Thank you, Space Pope. LSR, dude, what are you doing with a super chat? Thank you so much for all your kicking butt and taking names with the socials along with the rest of the team. They say, can NASA, under the right management, use the Artemis Accords to encourage international cooperation and investment to further science goals? That's the point of the Artemis Accords, right?
That's the point of it, yeah. That was the whole idea. And the Artemis Accords are also there. If you want to reduce that, that's at face value what it's for. If you want to reduce the Artemis Accords down to its put it in a crucible, reduced down to its base element. It's to prevent a potential other foreign adversarial country from claiming the moon as their own. Because if they try to claim the moon as their own, it'd be like, hey, look at all these countries that don't agree with this. That it's kind of a big deal.
Kind of huge. Helicali says, "We want a brain sump is the greatest thing I've ever heard." Oh, thank you. It means a lot. We do. Do we not want a brain sump? The only problem is a sump naturally has a drain at the bottom of it that you really need to plug with dollars, because if you don't, all that brain drains away.
No, Jack, you're thinking about that the wrong way.
Let's get the brain sump in place for sure.
NASA is the brain sump that drains into the private sector, dude.
Oh, don't trickle down me here. Don't you trickle down me here.
I feel like we could talk for another 70 minutes if we got into the discussion of the real value of commercial partners versus NASA. And
did you really, Jack, just call public-private partnerships with NASA trickle-down economics?
I did do that. I did do that.
Okay.
Sawyer in chat says trickle-down comer. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, Sawyer.
Downcomer. Yeah.
D. What do we talk about before the show? What are we talking about before the show? You said you weren't going to do that. It's not cool. It's not cool.
It was funny.
It's not cool.
I think the audience might have liked it. I don't know.
James Hare, thank you so much. They say, longtime supporter of space-related adventures, found your channel yesterday. Holy cow. Welcome, James. We point cameras at rockets here, and we hope you like our wacky coverage. All of our other coverage is actually informative and interesting. This is the Flame Trench, where things get spicy, and we just kind of have fun every Friday. So, heads up, not all of our streams are like this, but this one is. So, if you like it, you're in the right place. They say, dropping 10 here is a shout out to EJ because they're an instant EJ fan. If you're not on EJ's Twitch, follow EJ on Twitch. EJ's on Twitch. It's a great way to get the pre-show without being a member. Oops, I just said that. If I were solving a serious issue, you'd be my first round draft pick. Just don't ask EJ to replace the U-joints on your drive shaft because he won't realize there's a Heim joint in the Cardan joint, and he'll break it.
It's not my fault Land Rover can't engineer a drive shaft.
You sound like you're speaking from experience here,
No,
Jack.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Gunfox with a $50 tip. Thank you so much, Gunfox. That's insane. They say, Gateway Station is not needed. Do we all agree? Axe Gateway. EJ, go.
If you asked me 5 years ago, I probably would have said keep it. But that GAO report about them forgetting to figure the wire harness mass into their design requarements kind of is a little bit of a red flag for me.
Kind of a bad look. In aerospace engineering, we would call that a oopsie doopsie, I think, is the technical term.
It was at that point where I'm like, you forgot to weigh the wire harness, and now Falcon Heavy can't launch it because it's too heavy. That is a problem. Maybe we should, not do this. D, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool to have Gateway, and I want to have Gateway, but
I would be way more into Gateway if it wasn't in a stupid orbit.
Yeah, let's do.
It's not in a stupid orbit.
Let's spend that. We were talking about the value of science. Let's spend that money on more science.
I do like more science. Gunfox's comment continues. They say NASA needs a culture change. I don't think any of the three of us disagree. If Hagen is still here, I don't think even Hagen disagrees. I think we all agree NASA needs a culture change.
I'm of the belief that there's always room for something to be improved, and so if the improvement here is a culture change at NASA to make things more efficient or something like that, there's always going to be room for improvement. Nothing is ever perfect, a done deal. So
nothing is so perfect that it can't be complained about. Absolutely.
So if if a culture change is what is going to be needed to improve some things, then sure, I'm for a culture change.
All right. I do want to let our audience know. Also, thank you again, Gunfox. I want to let our audience know that we do have twists this week in Spaceflight coming up at 7 p.m. as usual. If you want the news, the hard facts from Alicia, then This Week in Spaceflight it's almost like our companion show to the Flame Trench. Like the Flame Trench is like the director's cut in a way, although it's not because none of us direct This Week in Spaceflight. But yeah, in a lot of ways, these two shows are a companion show. If you just want to be filled in on the news in a delightful way, check out This Week in Spaceflight premiering at 7 p.m. tonight. That's a thing that's happening. Also, there is that Starlink launch later, which is why D is at KSC. D, when's that Starlink launch?
That's a great question. I'm going to take a look on next space flight. It is 9 something p.m. It is 9:15 p.m., which means we go live at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. I got here this afternoon and I started setting up, so this table will basically be rotated 90 degrees, and as soon as we are done with the Flame Trench, I will get a whole bunch of cameras set up for that launch. But yeah, definitely stay up to date with launches through next spaceflight and tune in tonight after Twists for the stream.
Twists.
Twists.
You have to say it with emphasis. Twists.
Twists.
Twists. Twists.
Nice.
It's a big show. It's an important show, you know. Like
Twists.
You gotta.
Oh, hi. Hello. Did you not like how I was saying twist? Oh God. Oh God. No, down, baby. Good girl. Leica says hi.
Likes.
Hi, Leica.
So like I said hi for me, Jack.
Come here, baby. Come here, baby. Come here. Yes. Good girl. Say hi.
Now, guys, I want to be very clear. I don't
says hi.
mind the concept of gateway. It's the hardware that I have the problem with. A rectilinear halo orbit is actually a pretty good access point for pretty much anywhere.
No, I hate it. It's awful.
You're awful.
You're not awful. You're my friend, but I still hate the Halo orbit because it takes what if you have an emergency? 2 weeks to get back to Earth because the thing's not lined up because it's Halo orbit, and we're doing all this in the name of having comms with Earth the entire time and no blackout period, which you could just solve with like 5 frickin' Starlink satellites. Give me a break.
Jack, I have a question for you.
Hi.
All right. Would you agree that Gateway is a toll booth to the surface of the moon? Robert Zubrin has called it many times. He's called it a toll booth to get down to the surface.
In that it's extracting value from the space program for congressional districts and various contractors when we don't need that toll booth to be there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would generally agree with that, yes.
But what does a toll booth do in real life? Like on a road? What does it do? In an ideal case.
I mean, it pays. A, it pays for the road, and B, it meters the traffic to a certain extent.
I was more looking for A, but B is also very good as a traffic nerd. Yes, that is absolutely right. It is a pressure regulator.
We're all the same kind of nerd here.
We are the same kind of nerd, absolutely.
Except you don't agree car good, train bad. But anyways.
I don't. I like all forms of transportation.
Wait, train good, car bad. I can't even get it right. I'm too caffeinated.
That's not how that's supposed to work.
Did you actually say car good, train
moving on.
bad?
No, we're moving on. No, we're moving on. Train
car
good. Train good. Train good.
I need to hear that because that is. How
I want to die. I literally want to die.
That's the opposite of everything. How could you say that?
I love cars, but I like trains as well. But I like planes, and I like
train
boats.
Good, car bad.
Train good, car bad.
D, how'd you get to work today? Did you take the train to KSC?
Well, if we're going off the rails here,
because we're talking about cars.
Rails to come here today. I was I took a car and I could talk extensively on my thoughts about public transit and a lack of it. But I feel like this is not the show for public transit opinions. But I am happy if anyone ever sees me at Starbase or in person. I will gladly have a lengthy conversation about public transit.
All right, just making sure. I like trains, guys. Like I've said, I like trains too. Trains are mint. Love
The
trains.
train that comes like right near the press site is like for SRBs, not really for people. That's the problem.
Rocket train good. Rocket train perhaps
Rocket
best
train
of all
really
train.
good.
Perhaps best train of all trains.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Gateway?
Before train good, car bad happened.
Well, no, we were talking about Gateway, and Jack, like I said, you hate Gateway, you think it's wasteful, and like, don't get me wrong, I have a problem with it because of the hardware side of things, because the program I don't think the program is being managed right. But I think something in a rectilinear halo orbit that serves as an access point for the moon is your proverbial tow booth that supports your spaceflight infrastructure from an international standpoint and from a programmatic standpoint. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't quite follow how it's generating money. Like how is this toll analogy? Like where is that? What is that money?
Well, you said it yourself. It's people are putting it to support stuff in their congressional districts, right? Well, that's more money for the space program than you would have gotten if you didn't have it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'll take that over nothing. But like, cheese and rice, weigh your frickin' wires, people.
Oh yeah, no, that is a colossal screw up.
And put it in a not stupid orbit, please. All right.
No, the orbit's great. It's the hardware. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Like if they had more Delta V, then it would be a less horrible situation.
Something like that, guys. Like I like the idea of something loitering in a rectilinear halo orbit around the moon. I think that's a great idea. Put a Starship there. Screw it. Like I think the hardware for Gateway is objectively ridiculous. Like you're gonna use that. That architecture is going to be used to prototype a Mars transfer vehicle? Oh, okay. Because that's the other reason why Gateway is there. Really? Oh, yeah. Okay. You sure about that? Like, is that really what that's going to do? Like, I doubt that.
You sure?
So put a Starship or something. You sure? Are you sure about that? You sure about that?
Dude, I think you should leave. I think you should leave has thoroughly rotted my brain. I love that show so much. You sure about that's why?
Is that really why?
Yeah. Oh God. All right. I want to thank somebody.
Okay.
Alex Vaughn for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much, Alex. And I think, I think we're pretty good. We're pretty good here. Let's watch a video and talk about our next topic, the confirmation hearing for Jared Isaacman.
Oh, is that my cue?
Let's try to set a few things straight.
Is it time for Chad to hate me again?
You met with Elon Musk at Mar-a-Lago in late 2024. Is that correct?
No, Senator. I was in Mar-a-Lago to be interviewed by the President of the United States.
So you did not meet with Elon Musk at Mar-a-Lago?
I went to Mar-a-Lago to be interviewed by the President of the United States.
I didn't ask you that. Did you meet with Elon Musk at Mar-a-Lago?
I believe he was one of dozens of people that were around Mar-a-Lago at the time, Senator.
So did you meet with him?
I would not say we had a meeting. We probably had a conversation in passing, Senator.
Okay, during that same trip, then President-elect Trump offered you the NASA administrator job. Is that correct?
At the conclusion of the meeting, Senator, he did.
Thank you. Was Elon Musk in your meeting when Trump offered you the NASA position at Mar-a-Lago?
Senator, I was interviewed by the President of the United States.
Was Elon Musk in the meeting when he offered you the job?
Senator, my meeting was with the President of the United States.
So Elon Musk was not in the meeting, is that what you're saying?
Senator, I was being interviewed and speaking with the President of the United States.
You can just say he was not in the meeting. Was he in the meeting or not in the meeting?
Senator, I'm trying to be as transparent as I can. I was being interviewed by the President of the United States.
It's not a difficult question. Was Elon Musk in the room when the President offered you the job?
Senator, my meeting was with the President of the United States.
I'm assuming that you don't want to answer the question directly because Elon Musk was in the room. I think that's the only conclusion anyone listening to this could reach, unless you want to dispel us of that notion.
Senator, again, I was being interviewed by the President of the United States, and I'd also say I have no...
that's not... I appreciate that. I'm just trying to determine Elon Musk's role in this, and you're not willing to be fully transparent.
Strap in, people. We said it was going to be
Okay.
A spicy trench.
So yeah, we showed the most spicy part of that whole Senate confirmation meeting first. So I mean, is that what we're talking about? Because so that was a clip from Jared Isaacman's Senate confirmation hearing, basically Jared Isaacman was picked by the president. He was picked by the president to be the nominee for NASA administrator. So for the people that don't know how this works, if you're from overseas, you're not from the States, or if you want to learn about civics, here you go, real quick. So NASA serves under the executive branch of the United States. So that's the president. The president runs, or kind of denotes what NASA does. Okay. Now, the United States has three branches at the federal government level. You have executive, which is the president. You have judicial, which is the courts, and then you have legislative. Okay. Now, like a lot of our systems in the U.S. form of government, there's checks and balances. So the check here for NASA being an executive, kind of serving under the executive of the United States, is that Congress gets to vote on the nominees, which is what we're seeing here, and B, appropriate funds. Okay. The legislative branch has two houses, right? You have a lower and an upper house of Congress. One is the Senate. The other one's the House of Representatives. Okay. The Senate does these cross-examinations and gets to confirm the nominees, and they also sign NASA's budget into law. The House of Representatives comes up with NASA's budget based off of what the executive branch decides they want NASA to do. Okay. With all that being said, what we just saw here, or what you saw a clip from there, was the Senate confirmation hearing. So the people that are up on the podium asking questions are senators that are cross-examining Rook to see if he's going to be a good NASA administrator. It seemed like Senator Markey there doesn't think so, from what I can tell. He was asking very much about, what Elon's role in it. And Rook didn't really have a lot to say in that matter. That was probably the most spicy part of the interview, but I think we should have led with Rook's opening statement.
Do we have that queued up? Because that is
his opening
way
statement
more
was
the vibe.
legendary.
I think we all say what?
I was agreeing with you. Chris G is agreeing with you.
Okay, yeah, because we're not going to not talk about that. Of course, we're going to talk about that. But this is the flame trench, so we got to get a little spicy. D, I want to hear your thoughts on the hearing, on that moment in particular, since that's what we led off with. I just really quickly want to share, personally, I periodically relearn things in my life. After 37 years, I've noticed a pattern. Sometimes I just forget parts of myself, and then I relearn that that's a part of myself. Longboarding. Every now and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I love listening to music. I forgot to listen to music for the last 2 months or whatever it is. It periodically happens. I relearned something this week that I didn't even think that I unlearned at any point. I knew it well, but it's been reinforced. And that thing is, I hate politics. I just hate I like rockets. I'm here for rockets. But we have to talk about this stuff because in this case, the politics are affecting rockets.
Unfortunately, dude, this industry NASA is conjoined at the hip with these people. So do I like sitting here and discussing what Ed Markey thinks about, Jared Isaacman? Not really, not particularly. I'd rather talk to you guys about staged combustion cycles. But once again, elephant in the room, right? Or the Isaacman in the room. I don't know. Pick one.
So
cool.
Yeah, I don't know. D, you want to throw some thoughts at us, and we can. Of course, like I said, we're going to watch that opening statement because we're definitely going to have thoughts about that. But there's sort of the stonewalling that we saw.
Yeah. So I'll just start with, because it's been a bit of a negative show overall. I'll just say I think overall the hearing was really good. Well prepared statements, saying a lot of the things we want to hear. It's nice that he's saying, yes, we can get to the moon, and we can get to Mars, and we can expand science, and we can do it more efficiently. Those are all great things to hear. And obviously the proof will be seeing it happen, but I'd say the lack of answer on that question was perhaps the lowest point of the whole thing. There's no right. Right isn't the right word. There isn't an easy answer to that question. Like, if Elon was in the room when he was being offered the job, like, that's not his call to make, and he's the one on the spot to answer for, okay, why did Trump have Elon in the room when offering the job? Like, that's and that's on him. And so, like, if he says yes, he was in the room, that doesn't sound great. But obviously, hearing him just sort of not answer there, it's like, okay, so he was in the room. Like, it's good to hear.
How is that Jared's fault?
No, I'm not saying it is.
No, I know. I'm agreeing.
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
Like, in a lot of ways, it felt like a gotcha question. I mean, it was a gotcha question, and they're like, it's not a right answer to Stonewall, but it's a less wrong answer than saying what the dude wants you to say, so you can go, gotcha, and then that becomes the headline following the hearing. The headline I've seen most prominently following the hearing is NASA administrator nominee lays out vision for agency, which is like, yes, that's what we want. We want to talk about what the vision is, because that's the meat and potatoes here, because that's what he's going to be pushing for if he gets confirmed.
And like, also hearing, because like Elon and Jared, like, I mean, he's invested and he's flown with SpaceX, so like there's clearly some previous relationship there, and so it was great to hear him say, yes, like, as NASA administrator, I would communicate with all the big players in the industry. Like, that's what you want to hear in these, and hopefully it's not any sort of preferential treatment, which he says he's avoiding, which is, like, he said all the right things, and I don't think there was any really better way to reply to any of that. So, as much as we put some of the cold open on that moment, that's not on him. And if you're setting up these politicians to have a gotcha moment, like, if the politicians are setting up you for a gotcha, like, what more can you really do?
I mean, the most skillful thing to do is to play politics and not give him a gotcha, right? Even if it doesn't look good, it looks less bad than it possibly could.
Because he's clear about, okay, this is the meeting, this is who the meeting was with, and yeah, it's not a great moment, but it is what can you say at that point? And I am hopeful for him leading NASA. I really hope that like we were saying earlier, that like science continues to expand, that we see more efficient use of funds, we get to the moon again, we get onto Mars and all of that. I really, really hope that is what we see in the coming years.
Truth-Tella in chat says, my issue is that he may in fact have a conflict of interest. I think...
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I mean, feel free to weigh in. All I'll say is, I think we have seen Jared's character over time, not only on our channel and our interviews, but in his interaction with the media, with people we know and whose opinions we trust. Like, we have a pretty dang comprehensive feel of Jared as a person, I feel. Maybe that's just the parasocial relationship worm in my head, but the fact of the matter is, like, maybe you can argue in chat if you want to that it's misguided of me, but I would trust Jared to make sure that he does not have any conflicts of interest. That's just me. I've flown in some of his jets. Like, obviously I'm biased, but I've met the dude and I've interviewed the dude, and we've all seen him and what he does and how so much of what he's done has been coming from an altruistic place, from a good place, from a place that makes us all proud to be humans.
And I would say anyone who is really involved in space is going to have a conflict of interest. And it's important that they act to the absolute best of their ability with disregard for any conflict of interest. But especially as we're moving to, all right, astronauts are now flying on commercial companies' rockets. And so whereas we've had NASA, we've had astronaut administrators who've flown on NASA rockets, but now people who are invested in space, there are going to be ties to these companies, and it's not something that can be ignored. It needs to be brought up. It should be talked about, and it should be made sure that they aren't making irresponsible cuts to NASA in one places in order to benefit other. Obviously, it's important that they act with the best interest of NASA and the country, but it'll be hard moving forward, especially in the future, to avoid NASA administrators that both care about space, are involved in space, and don't have any level of conflict of interest.
Here. Oh man! All right, let's that was shot. Now let's do Chaser, and watch the opening remarks.
Thank you. I now recognize Mr. Isaacman for his opening statement.
Thank you, and Senator Sheehy for the very generous introduction. Thank you, Chairman Cruz, Ranking Member Cantwell, distinguished members of the committee. I'm honored and very grateful to be here before you today as President Donald Trump's nominee to lead the National Aeronautic and Space Administration. I have lived the American dream, and I owe this nation a great debt. I would happily serve President Trump in any capacity, but to work alongside the people that have expanded the boundaries of exploration and brought humanity closer to the stars would be the privilege of a lifetime. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge my crewmates, as you did earlier, Senator, along with my wife, Monica, and my two wonderful daughters that are sitting behind me, Mila and Liv. I do recognize I am a newcomer, so I thought I would share a bit about my story, along with my understanding of the challenges and the opportunities that lie ahead. I am an entrepreneur, and my journey began when I took a risk and left school at age 16 to build a company in my parents' basement. Despite my unconventional start, I found success very early in life and led my company into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise that employs thousands. I'm a pilot with an aeronautics degree. Over the last 20 years, I've flown over 7,000 hours in jets and ex-military aircraft, setting world records and performing in air shows. My passion for aviation also led me to start another company, this time a defense aerospace business. As a company, we operated the world's largest private air force. Our job was to fly fighter jets as adversaries, executing enemy tactics and training American warfighters. We managed hundreds of millions in defense contracts and saved taxpayers billions along the way. I'm also an astronaut. Alongside a talented team, I led 2 record-breaking missions to space. On my last mission, we tested a new spacesuit while performing a spacewalk and orbited farther away from Earth than any human has gone since the last time Americans walked on the moon. Along the way, my 2 crewmates, Sarah Gillis and Anna Menon, became the women who have journeyed farthest from Earth ever. I'm an advocate for science. During these missions to space, my crew and I performed approximately 50 science and research experiments. I've also publicly supported the Chandra X-ray Observatory and offered to fund a mission to extend the life and capabilities of the Hubble Space Telescope. I care about the people back at home and our collective future here on Earth. My space career did not burden the taxpayers. They were privately funded and aimed at inspiring and helping people all over the world. One example is the over $250 million we raised to support St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and their critical work to ensure no child dies in the dawn of life. Alongside these efforts, I personally donated hundreds of millions of dollars to charitable endeavors. I share all of this because I am not a typical nominee for this position. I've been relatively apolitical. I am not a scientist. I never worked at NASA. I do not think these are weaknesses. In fact, I believe President Trump found them to be strengths. And if confirmed, I will bring all my experience to the greatest adventure in human history, the quest to discover the secrets of the universe. On that note, NASA is the most accomplished and respected space agency in the world, but for all NASA's historic achievements, the agency is not without challenges. Presidents have called for a return to the moon and a path to Mars since 1989, and well over $100 billion has been spent without the intended results. Most programs, new telescopes, rovers, X-planes, entire spaceships, are over budget and behind schedule. And this is discouraging because when people look up at the stars and wonder what is out there, they want those answers today and not decades down the road. And I know it is not lost on members of this committee that we have geopolitical rivals moving at impressive speeds. It's imperative for our national security, our pride, and all that we stand to gain in exploration that we never come in second place. If confirmed, and with the support and guidance of President Trump and members of Congress, we will reinvigorate a mission-first culture at NASA with the following objectives. First, American astronauts will lead the way in the ultimate high ground of space. As the President stated, we will prioritize sending American astronauts to Mars, and along the way, we will inevitably have the capabilities to return to the moon and determine the scientific, economic, and national security benefits for maintaining a presence on the lunar surface. We will focus our technology development efforts on the world's greatest engineering challenges, such as the practical application of nuclear propulsion, so we can truly unlock humankind's ability to explore among the stars. Second, we will ignite a thriving space economy in low Earth orbit. By working alongside international partners and industry, we can unlock the true economic potential of space and deliver meaningful benefits to the American people, potentially even charting a course for NASA to become a financially self-sustaining agency. Number three, NASA will be a force multiplier for science. We will leverage NASA's scientific talent and capabilities to enable academic institutions and industry to increase the rate of world-changing discoveries. We will launch more telescopes, more probes, more rovers, and endeavor to better understand our planet and the universe beyond. If confirmed, I will work alongside and recruit the most talented minds this nation has to offer, and we will concentrate our resources towards achieving the near impossible, the objectives that no other agency, company, or institution is capable of accomplishing. We will do so, knowing the risks and the groundbreaking opportunities that lie ahead, because some risks, like exploring the worlds beyond ours, are worth taking. We will do this not just to expand our knowledge or strengthen our national security, but to improve all life here on Earth and inspire the next generation to reach even further. This is why America needs NASA, why the world needs NASA, because there is no more important investment than inspiring our children to build a better and more exciting future. And the best way NASA can do that is by delivering on our mission and ushering in a new golden age of science and discovery, and we will not fail. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Fantastic opening statement. But here we go. I'm going to DOS EJ. It's just a statement.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Okay. I do think that is a fair argument. Like, we will have to wait and see. And I think the discussion of in the opening statement there, we heard him say, we will return to Mars and get to the moon along the way. That makes it sort of clear, like, we're looking to Mars, and yes, we'll get the technology to go back there, but it doesn't quite put the moon, it doesn't put the moon as the priority, which, I do think that's fair in some regards.
I agree. I think it's the right set of priorities. I think everything he said, bang on. Well, with a few minor exceptions, which we'll get to. I think everything he said, bang on. But it's like, what is it going to be able to deliver on? And B, what is Congress and the administration going to enable?
Yeah,
that's the big question now.
Like, I'm hopeful, but it'll be a lot if he's able to deliver on all of these promises. There were some discussions on timeline and racing back to the moon, and I want us to win that race, I guess I could say.
Absolutely.
So I really hope that the money is prioritized and used efficiently and used quickly to prioritize those goals.
That's one of my favorite things he said during the whole entire opening statement, right? I'm going to butcher it, but it's like people don't want answers tomorrow. They want the answers today. Like, let's not kick the can down the road anymore, people. I really appreciate that. Really quickly, because we are getting close to twists, and I want EJ to be able to say his piece as well. Hi, EJ. Hi.
Hi, Jack.
Two things that stuck out to me in the opening statement. One, he said he wants NASA to be a financially self-sustaining agency. That concerns me. I look at that statement with side eye. I don't want to worry about NASA having to feel like they need to generate a profit. I want NASA to do things for the public good. I don't want to have to pay a subscription service for GPS. I want NASA to do things not because they need to be financially self-sustaining, but because they're the right thing to do. Maybe I'm, being all hippy-dippy and dancing through the flower fields over here, but that's how I feel about that statement. Maybe I'm reading way too much into that. Financially self-sustaining agency, though, concerns me. And feel free to rebut me when I'm done talking. The other thing I do want to say is, if you want to perhaps get a feel for what the future might look like should Jared be confirmed, regardless of all this budget chaos, what did Jared do before all of this? He founded Draken International, right? They did Red Air for the government. What is Red Air? That's flying aircraft as if you are an enemy against our pilots so that the pilots can train against a realistic threat. That's what Draken did for the government. They got government contracts. They flew Red Air against our military for training purposes. Before that was a thing that private companies did, and it's not just Draken, it's a bunch of companies that do this for the government as a service. The government would have its own squadrons. Like we had squadrons in the Air Force, in whatever, the Navy, what have you, that would fly Red Air, that would train in tactics and use jets that were painted as if they were enemy jets. And that was the thing that the government looked at and said, hey, this is too expensive. We're going to move this Red Air thing. We're going to shut down these squadrons. We're going to retask these people and these funds. And we're going to instead contract this out to the private industry in order to enable cost savings, etc. That is what Draken International did. They provided Red Air services to the government, a thing that previously was an in-house government thing. So I'm just saying, if we look at Draken versus we look at NASA, maybe we see some similar things happening in the two. Those are the two things I wanted to say about that. I really hope Jared gets confirmed, and I really hope he can deliver on the truly inspirational vision that he laid out. EJ, what thoughts do you have?
Okay. All right. Spice incoming. Jack, you saying like I don't want NASA to be profitable. I want them to be there for the greater good. You know that NASA was founded with the expectation that they would be able to develop technology that the commercial market wouldn't seem financially viable, and then
but NASA isn't selling Tempur-Pedic mattresses. NASA made the foam, and then a different company took that and commercialized it and productized it. I don't want NASA to sell me a space mattress with a worm on it. That's absurd.
What about the patent for one?
I mean, I'm not quite sure. I'm not a patent lawyer.
I mean, the way a lot of this works is they'll develop stuff that isn't... Sorry, let me clarify my thoughts. It's not like the government automatically has patents over everything they make. And also, what about the things that NASA funds the private industry to do that then the private industry gets the patents on? So there are so many ways that NASA benefits the economy that just aren't counted in what it would take to be self-sustaining. Because that has to be revenue coming in of some sort, not decreased costs for consumers of products due to things that they discover or due to medications that are like experimented on in space that save human lives. Like that's not going to be some huge amount of revenue. Like we've been talking about the budget of NASA, and are they going to get $25-30 billion from consumers? Like that doesn't seem like, I don't know. I don't think the goal should be for it to be self-sustaining, because it's like a service in so many ways, and it's about exploration and gaining new knowledge. But we should look at where we get benefits from it, where it benefits our life, and we should reevaluate how NASA provides that value to everyone. We want it to be a value-adding organization in the grander sense towards humanity, whether or not on the dollar amounts it's a value add, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel free to disagree, but I don't think that the actual dollar amounts that come into NASA or leave NASA are what should count for its value.
Yeah. I mean, EJ, what do you think, man? Would you disagree?
Did you just say that you can't there's no dollar amount on like the intellectual property of NASA? Is that what you said? I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I just need to get it right in my head.
Stardust in chat said knowledge has no value.
No. I'm saying that, like, what am I saying? Sorry.
That's what I'm wondering. I'm sorry.
No. You're like for the things that are developed, because like NASA has NASA Plus. Everything they make there, that's to the public. Like, not quite all public domain, but it's all public domain stuff. If NASA's focused on revenue, okay, are they going to start charging licenses for the footage on that's shot on the ISS with their cameras? Are they going to I don't think that dollar amount should be the goal. That was my main point. We see things like, I mean, the easy one to mention is that WD-40 that gets created, or that Velcro, and they're not gatekeeping that, and then NASA / the government is the only one that's allowed to sell any hook and loop fastener. Like,
thank you.
That's not the way that it works. Like, that stuff gets created in like the free market, and humanity can benefit as a result. I don't know. Did that clear up what I was saying at all? I don't even know if it did.
I agree with you that, you know, like B-roll footage and pictures and stuff and media from NASA should stay public domain, but NASA explicitly has this thing called technology readiness level. It's TRL. There's 5 levels to it, and when it's
back on MTV?
Oh yeah, dude, Total Request Live. All right,
Carson Daly.
Throwback. Yeah, man, throwback. But they have these technology readiness levels, and once something hits TRL 5, it's like NASA will move it into. They'll try to see if anybody wants to use the patent. If they charged, you know, even a relatively modest fee for some of this stuff, NASA could be very, very much. That would be a significant chunk of money. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it would be like $1 billion or something. I think you're right there. But every little bit would help. They would help the stability of NASA, especially, you know, if someone wants to come along and say, you know, cut the science budget.
I would argue that the idea of this stuff that's being funded by taxpayers, and then suddenly the government's like, yes, we spent everyone's money on this, but we're going to sell it to a company, and now none of you get to benefit from it except for this company. I think that is absolutely not the right way to go.
Yeah, if as a taxpayer, I get a NASA check every month. If every taxpayer gets a NASA check every month, I mean, hey, but then isn't that just taking it out of one pocket and putting it in the other? Like, NASA is supposed to be doing good, and like for the benefit of humanity and for the benefit of the country, not making some money.
Do you guys? What's PICA then?
PICA was a thing that they developed, then like put on the shelf, and then private industry came up and was like, hey, let's use that. And now SpaceX is flying the heck out of Dragon.
Yeah. Can you imagine if NASA had you know, sold them the patent instead?
Yeah, that would be bad.
So then NASA couldn't use it?
No one can use PICA X. That's SpaceX's thing.
Yeah, because they
hold the patent
PICA
for it
and turned it into their own thing.
Yeah.
It's like PICA X and PICA are two different things. One was developed from the other. One's a proprietary formulation of a thing that NASA developed. So yeah, that's good. That's exactly how it should work. That's what I think D and I are advocating for.
Yeah, 100%.
The opposite scenario would be NASA sells SpaceX a patent to Pica. No other company can use Pica or develop a proprietary formula of Pica of their own, which is not the case. Again, I'm not a patent lawyer, dude. I could be completely wrong here.
Yeah, I definitely think the whole not lawyers here is important.
Let's can we, if you want to stick on this, EJ, by all means, but I do sort of want to refocus and sort of end the stream or get close to the end of the stream on a high note, and that is, I see chat, I see people in chat saying like, oh, this was not a good answer, or oh, I've lost faith in Isaacman. I really hope that is not what your takeaway is. Like, that's just what we saw. That's just politics. I still have 100% faith personally in him as an NASA administrator. I still have the butterflies in my stomach that I got, that excitement that I got on the day that we found out that he was going to be the nominee. I'm not bummed about him based on these hearings, but if you are, I get it. All right, well, we're getting close to twists here. Fun fact: we did 2 flyovers this week, both today. D, you flew in a helicopter today?
Yeah, Robinson R-44 helicopter with the doors off.
Sketch. I mean, cool.
Yeah, it's. I'm not gonna tease too much, but as you can see, we saw 2 different rockets that are vertical, and maybe we saw some other stuff elsewhere. We definitely saw some other stuff elsewhere, I will say. We got some pretty unique perspectives from places we aren't usually.
Ooh.
And you should definitely stay tuned for... I mean, there's a lot to see here.
Yep, pictures are already going up for members. So if you're a member, if you just got gifted a membership during the stream, be sure to check the pictures out. And the flyover is coming out next week. And we also did a flyover here in Starbase. As you can see, this is a picture I took today. It's a flame trench as of today. That'll be coming out as part of Starbase Update. So definitely, if you're not subscribed, hit the bell, do all the YouTube things. You know the drill. Hey, look, it's a launch mount and a flame diverter. Neat. We didn't really talk about Starbase or the Cape this week. We kind of got into a serious thing.
We covered 2 topics.
I mean, I like how at the start of the show we were like, are we covering enough? But progress abounds at Starbase. Stargate's gone. I mean, hopefully we get a ship static fire here soon and we get closer to Flight 9. But like, what more do you really want to know? If you do want to know more, watch the dailies and watch Starbase Update. But yeah, we're getting down to the wire. EJ, dude, everyone should follow EJ on Twitch. EJ, I know you were playing heel there. I hope people watching understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's important to, even if you don't agree, like if you don't agree with what somebody's saying, you truly put yourself over in their perspective and try to figure out what's going on. And that's what I'm trying to do, guys. I'm trying to give context amongst anything else. And Jack, the other thing is that, remember what I told you. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Hagen even said it. It'll be fine. Remember. It'll be fine. I appreciate
that. It's incredibly soothing. In fact, I kind of want to take that audio and make it my alarm sound for in the morning. So when I wake up,
be fine.
Instead of just feeling dread, I can feel slightly relieved. No, thank you for that, EJ, and thanks for being on. We know you take this stuff seriously, and we know you really care, and we know you're not a jerk, and you're just doing devil's advocate. We love you for it.
Nor am I trying. Thank you. Nor am I trying to be that guy that's like, well, you just got to look at it from my perspective. Like, I'm not trying to do any of that stuff. I'm trying to critically look at things because that's what I think you guys want to see. Being, we talk about a lot of pretty intense topics here. I figured, and maybe I'm a crazy person for doing this. I figure that, trying to apply that magnifying glass to politics might be an insane venture now that I'm really thinking about it and saying it out loud, but at least I'm going to try to give it the best. But either way, I know it's a privilege coming on here, and I do appreciate Jack and Dee. I appreciate you guys' company, and I appreciate the opportunity of being here. It is fun, and I'm happy people haven't gotten bored of me yet or hate me.
Yep. Anytime, good buddy. Dee, thanks for being on.
I know we're getting rushed out, so it's been an absolute pleasure being on here with both of you, and I really enjoyed this. Thanks, everyone.
Yep, watch
Thanks,
the
D.
Starlink stream that D is going to be helping out with later tonight. Go watch
later.
This Week in Spaceflight. It is coming up right now. Also, thank you to Kevin for operating the stream. Thank you to Hagen for popping in. I'm Jack Byer. Thank you for watching and putting up with our, at least my, negative attitude. I'm trying to be better. I don't want to be a curmudgeon, but I am. But I'm trying to be better. Everything's amazing. Everything will be fine until it won't. But right now, everything will be fine. All right, go watch Twist. We love you guys. We'll see you now.
And here we go.
We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, planet.
Water towers, fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off.
Bring in SPD off.
It's orange! 125! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Décollage.
What do you think?
Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
The methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You read? Sure. We don't need any more of these.